Hey guys, so today I have my August reading wrap up, and I think August was my best reading month in terms of quantity, but also my quality was pretty spot on. I actually enjoyed every book that I read. There were no duds. It's just all good news here. So in total, I read 7 books and 1 was an audiobook. So instead of doing this how I normally do, which is share them in the order that I read them, I'm gonna share my 4-star reads, which there are mostly 4-star reads, and then I actually have 2 5-star reads, and I'll share those after. So first thing, let's just talk about a solid 4-star read that I really enjoyed, and that was 3 Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. So I mentioned this in my last reading vlog that I kind of wanted to get back into reading fantasy, and this is one that really interested me. And then later that week, I got an email that it was on sale for $1.99. So it was like the stars had aligned, and I just downloaded it and started reading it because I just had to know what it was about, and it was so cheap. And I really did enjoy this. It's a fantasy series that actually the 4th and final book is coming out next week, which is really exciting that I'll be able to have all of the books available to me. But I really didn't think I would like the book as much as I did. It had such a unique world that was different from other fantasy novels, and I haven't read like a young adult fantasy in so long. In this kingdom, there are currently these 3 queens. They're triplets, and they're 16 years old, and they don't live with each other. They live apart, and each has a special power. So one is a naturalist queen, so that means that she can control animals and things like that, and one is an elementalist, so she can control like weather and stuff, and the other is the poisoner queen, which she can like eat poison and doesn't affect her. And when the queens turn 16, it's called their ascension year. They're kind of on show, and they have 1 year from that point to basically kill each other, and the one remaining queen is the one who becomes queen. So it's a really cutthroat society, as you can imagine, that these 3 sisters are separated and then they're forced to kill each other one day. And so this book I loved because you really got to see each of the queens. You really get to see like how normal-ish almost these queens' lives are and how much they have in common, but they don't know that because they can't talk to each other. They don't know anything about each other. I am really happy that I read that book, and I will for sure be continuing with the series. Also, I will talk a little quicker about the next books that I review. Next, I thought I would talk about another one. Since I have my Kindle out, I'm just gonna go through all of the books that I read on my Kindle, and this was another 4-star read, and that was Roomies by Christina Lauren. So this is a romance that takes place in New York City, and I just loved the setting. First of all, I love New York City as a backdrop for any book really, so this was no exception. This is about a young woman. She's trying to find her way in life. She's a little bit lost. She's a writer, but she hasn't been able to write. And so her uncles help her out, and she actually works for her uncle's theater's company, doing a job that isn't really that rewarding, but you know, it's a job at least. And the story really begins when she has been watching this one street performer or subway performer for months now, and she thinks he's so talented. He plays the guitar, and her uncles are producing a new show, and so she kind of throws out there, hey, there's this street performer that I've heard who's actually really good. Come and take a listen to him. So the uncle goes and he listens to him and is surprised by how much talent this guy has. And so they decide, okay, we'll hire him for the show. But it turns out that the guy is not here legally. He's from Ireland. A student visa ran out a few years ago. And so this is a marriage of convenience novel where, yes, she does have to marry this random stranger so that he can be on the show. And the show becomes widely popular, all of this stuff. So I just thought it was so cute. I really loved the whole musical aspect of this whole thing too. I think that was a really fun backdrop, and his whole culture and them getting to know each other because they're strangers and they have to pretend they're in love and married and make it seem realistic, and it's just really good. The next 4-star read I have to mention that I also read on my Kindle is A Very Clever Corpse. This is a cozy mystery by A.R. Winters. I read this along with The Murder Squad, and I'm the only one who's finished it so far, but everyone else is wrapping this up pretty quickly. But it was such a great, cozy, cheesy mystery novel, and my friend put it perfectly. She said this is a Lifetime movie, and it is so true. It's like a Lifetime movie, but it's a mystery. So I did a little mention of this in my September TBR because I'm planning on continuing with this series, but it's about this girl named Kylie, and she's a horrible cook, but somehow she ends up owning this cafe and she has to kind of learn how to cook, but she also finds herself just completely involved in all of these murder mysteries that arise in this town, and she gets involved, she investigates, she and her friend, and they really have no business doing what they're doing, but they do, and it's a fun mystery. Like, it was just entertaining, it was light, it was easy to read, and I thought it was fun. So I for sure will be reading more of this series and hopefully some more cozy mysteries in the future. It was a cozy mystery. I can't describe it any other way than that, but that really is the perfect description for it. And my final 4-star read of the month was The Flat Chair. And this is also another romance that I read, and I thought it was so cute too. So this one takes place in London, and I love that setting. I know I mentioned I live in New York City. I love London. I think I just like city settings. It's about this young woman, and she is a editor. I think she's an editor. It's been a while. Of sorts for this DIY publishing company. So all of their books and everything that goes through them, it's all like DIY stuff. But she doesn't make a lot of money. She's coming out of a bad breakup and she needs a place to live, and so she finds an affordable option, which is a flat share. So basically she'll be sharing this guy's flat who is a night shift nurse, and so he'll stay in the flat during the day when she is at work, and then she'll be in the flat at night, obviously, when he is at his shifts, and then he won't be there on the weekends. So it's kind of the perfect opportunity for her to find a place that's relatively inexpensive. And he also needs the money because his brother is in jail and there are a lot of legal fees he is paying off. So it kind of works well for the both of them. So the thing is, though, they have never met each other. They don't know what each other looks like, and they somehow have to live in the same exact space. So they share Post-it notes back and forth with each other, and they end up getting to know each other really well just through sharing all these Post-its all over their little flat, and it's very sweet. I really loved it. I also liked that it wasn't as lighthearted as it kind of sounds. Like, there's a lot of deeper stuff it goes into. I think it's funny that it was in a recent vlog. I mentioned it's hard for me to give 5 stars out, and then in this month I gave out 2 5-star ratings, so it's just funny what surprises you sometimes. But I had to give 5 stars to The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. This is book 2 in the Mistborn series. Honestly, I liked this better than the first one, I'm pretty sure, and I don't really know why, but I felt way more invested in this one, and it's probably because I already know the characters, I already know like kind of what's going on, so it wasn't as like learning a whole new world and magic system. So it really, I was able to get into this a lot more quickly. And then some people say that it's slow. I highly disagree with that. I thought it was paced very well. There's a lot of political things that are happening in this book, and I can't really talk about it too much because it's all based on what happens in the first book. I think it was not slow. It was perfectly paced, and I honestly couldn't stop from reading this. I was just constantly wanting to get back home and reading this book, getting on my couch with it, because this is just a book that I did not want to put down. And so I think it did an excellent job of just delivering the plot and the characters. I'm so excited to read the 3rd book. I need to know what is gonna happen. So yeah, I loved it. This is such a good sequel. My next 5-star read that I read was The Friendzone, and I did not expect to give 5 stars to this book. Like, honestly, wasn't even on my radar. I thought, oh yeah, I'll just read it and I'll enjoy it and it'll be fine. Like, it'll be another good romance. But for some reason, I loved it way more than I thought. Our 2 main characters meet because they are both like the maid of honor and the best man in their best friend's wedding. The best man moves closer into their town, and so she actually gets to know him, and he actually starts working for her company a little bit. She's like a self-employed girl. She makes these staircases for dogs, and she has little dog t-shirts, and she just sells dog kind of things online. And so he helps construct the stairs for her because her old worker she had to let go, or he got a new job or something. She is in a relationship with a guy who works in the military, and the boyfriend is supposed to be moving in with her soon, and they've never lived together. Her and this boyfriend, they've been together, I think it was like 2 years or something, but he's finally gonna be moving back home for good, and they're gonna actually get their shot as being like a real girlfriend and boyfriend. And so she is obviously not wanting to do anything with this new guy. She's attracted to him, but it's just not in for her because she's very against cheating, and it's just not something that she would do. But they do enjoy their time together, and they become really good friends. And I'm gonna leave it there because there's a lot that happens in this book that I was not expecting. I had no clue the things that would happen in this book, but it was really good. It definitely got to a place where I just couldn't put it down. The other main plot thing that I didn't even mention, so this whole time in this story, but our main character, she's also struggling with having a surgery that will make her infertile because she's having a lot of problems. She's been having actually problems her whole life, and so the surgery is really her only option. And so she does want to put distance between herself and this guy because she knows off the bat that he wants children and that she is unable to have children because of her condition. So I forgot to mention that very important part of the whole story here, but just read it. It's really good. If you like romance, that is, you may enjoy this. I really did, way more than I thought I would. And the final book, I almost forgot to talk about it because it's not a physical book that I read, but that is The Good Neighbor. This is a Fred Rogers biography, so I actually read a nonfiction book this month, which, yay, I need to do more of that. But I really enjoyed this. Give this 4 stars. Listen to this on audiobook, which I thought was a great way to listen to this especially. And I just wanted to know more about Fred Rogers. When I saw that this book came out, I was interested in reading it, and then it became available through my library app, so I thought perfect opportunity. And it just is so fascinating. He really was Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Like, he really was that guy, and learning about the show and what drove him to want to create it and his life outside of the show. It's a really good read if you want to know more about Fred Rogers. And I'm really excited because the movie is coming out with my favorite actor, Tom Hanks, so it's gonna be so good. I can't wait. But I would definitely recommend, if you have any interest at all in just learning a little more about him. I did find there were some times during the audiobook that I would zone out and I was not paying attention to what they were talking about, but that's more just me not being someone who normally reads or listens to nonfiction. It's just like a little different for me. So those are all of the books that I read in August. If you've read any of these, I'd love to hear what you thought of them too. But thank you for watching and happy reading.